Have you ever wondered, with quiet seriousness in your heart, whether this present life might be your last? Whether after countless births and deaths, after innumerable journeys through pleasure and sorrow, through the ever-changing forms of human drama, you are finally nearing the end of the long pilgrimage of reincarnation? This question is not a mere curiosity. It is a call of the soul itself. For hidden in every seeker comes a subtle whisper, a faint memory of eternity, as though the spirit is tired of wandering in this wilderness of recurring births. The soul has played many roles upon the stage of time. Beggar and king, child and sage, lover and warrior, sufferer and conqueror. Each role, though clothed in different garments, has been a rehearsal of the same ancient play. At last the soul begins to feel that it has had enough of the drama, enough of the endless cycles, and longs to return to the great stillness from which it came. Paramahansa Yogananda often taught that reincarnation is not a punishment but an opportunity. The law of karma, of cause and effect, is the teacher that guides each soul toward awakening. Through every experience, through the joy of love and the bitterness of separation, through the gain of wealth and the loss of health, the soul is polished, its impurities gradually burned away. Yet as long as desires remain, as long as the will is chained to unfinished dreams, the cycle must continue. Life after life, the spirit dons a new costume, acting again upon the stage of creation. But what happens when desires no longer bind? What happens when the heart no longer clings to transient things? When the mind ceases to scatter itself in 1,000 directions? When the soul awakens to its true nature? This is when the possibility of the final incarnation dawns. The signs that this may be one's last life are not to be measured by external success, nor by social recognition, nor by dramatic spiritual powers. They are subtle, inward signs known in the silence of one's own meditation and in the quiet testings of life. They appear not as loud proclamations, but as gentle certainties within the heart. The seeker nearing the end of reincarnation begins to feel a profound detachment from the world. This detachment is not indifference, nor cold withdrawal. It is the natural recognition that nothing in the outer world can fully satisfy the soul. Joy is no longer sought in possessions, in fame, or in the fleeting sweetness of earthly pleasures. Instead, there is a deep contentment that arises from within, as though the soul has found a hidden fountain that flows regardless of circumstances. Such a seeker may still fulfill his duties in the world, caring for family, contributing to society, pursuing work, but he does so without bondage. He lives in the world yet is not of it. The chains that once tied him to endless cycles of desire are quietly dissolving. The grip of Maya, the delusive power of cosmic dream, is loosening its hold. Another sign is the clarity of spiritual memory. There comes a deep intuitive knowing that one has lived many lives before, that one has tasted every fruit of human longing. Sometimes in meditation, visions of past incarnations may appear, but more often it is simply the feeling that nothing in this world is new. Love, hatred, struggle, victory, defeat, these have all been enacted before. With that recognition comes wisdom, a wisdom not of age but of eternity. Yogananda would remind his disciples that true spiritual progress is measured by love. When divine love awakens in the heart, when compassion extends to all beings without distinction, the soul rises above karmic bondage. Such love is no longer personal attachment. It is the fragrance of the soul's union with spirit. The one nearing liberation feels love even toward those who oppose or misunderstand him. Forgiveness becomes natural, for he sees that every soul is journeying through ignorance toward awakening. He no longer blames the world, for he sees through its play. Perhaps one of the most profound signs of nearing the last incarnation is the growing awareness of God's presence everywhere. No longer confined to temples or rituals, the divine is felt in the silent trees, in the vastness of the sky, in the faces of strangers, in the very breath of life. The ordinary world becomes transparent, revealing the luminous reality beneath. In meditation, this presence deepens into bliss, into states of superconscious union, into glimpses of samadhi where the soul merges into infinite light. This does not mean that the seeker is always free from trials. On the contrary, the final incarnation may be marked by great tests. The accumulated karmas of many lives often come rushing to the surface, seeking resolution before the soul's final liberation. Sickness, opposition, loneliness, or inner darkness may all arise, not as punishment but as the last cleansing fires. The one who endures these with faith and surrender finds that each test becomes a doorway to freedom. Yogananda himself taught that when the soul is close to liberation, God tests it deeply to make sure it is ready. Just as a sword must be tempered in fire, so must the spirit be tested until all weakness is dissolved. The soul must prove that it will not fall back into delusion, that its love for God is unconditional, beyond all circumstances. There is also a growing simplicity in the life of one nearing the end. Complexity, restlessness, endless seeking, these gradually give way to stillness. There is less interest in argument, in proving oneself right, in convincing others. Words become fewer, but their vibration carries peace. Such a soul may appear ordinary to the world, even unnoticed, yet his presence radiates a quiet power that uplifts those around him. Sometimes such beings are recognized as saints. Sometimes they remain hidden, living simple lives. Liberation is not always accompanied by public recognition. God often works in silence. What matters is not outward acknowledgement but inner union. Yogananda described liberation as the soul's realization of its eternal oneness with spirit. No longer identified with the body or mind, no longer caught in the dualities of life and death, the liberated soul abides forever in bliss. Yet many liberated beings, out of compassion, choose to return one final time, not because of personal karma but to help uplift others. This is the path of the bodhisattva, the path of the avatar. But even then, their incarnation is not bondage. It is a free descent into the dream, like a divine actor who enters the stage only to awaken others. For the sincere seeker reading these words, perhaps the question arises, how can I know if this is my last life? The truth is that no outer sign can conclusively reveal it. The real confirmation comes in the depths of meditation, when the soul feels the call of God so strongly that nothing else matters. When the inner bliss far surpasses all worldly joys, when the soul feels ready to surrender every desire at the feet of the infinite, then one knows the cycle is nearing its close. Until that certainty arises, it is best to live each day as though liberation is near. For whether this is your last life or not, the path remains the same. Cultivate love, detach from fleeting illusions, seek God within, and live in harmony with all. Whether liberation comes now or in a future incarnation, the effort is never wasted. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every moment of meditation plants seeds that bear fruit across eternity. Yogananda often assured his disciples that the very longing for God is proof of progress. The fact that one even asks the question of liberation, the fact that the heart yearns for freedom, is already a sign that countless lifetimes have brought the soul to this point. The animal does not ask about liberation. The worldly man rarely cares for such things. But the seeker who longs for God has already ascended far upon the path. Thus, if you feel within yourself the deep yearning for final release, if you sense that this world no longer holds your heart, if you love God more than all else, then take courage. These are not small signs. They may well indicate that you are near the journey's end. But whether this is the last life or not, live as though it is. Live with such intensity, such devotion, such surrender, that no karma remains, no desire pulls you back. Live so fully in the divine that life itself becomes liberation. And even if you are destined to return, know that each step is bringing you closer. Time does not matter to the soul. What matters is awakening, the realization of your eternal self. The saints remind us that liberation is not a distant goal but a present reality. The soul is already free, already perfect, already one with God. The veil of delusion hides this truth, but the veil can be lifted in a single moment of deep realization. That moment may come today, in this very breath. Do not postpone your awakening by wondering about past or future lives. Instead, turn inward now, into the stillness of your heart, and there discover the eternal. When Yogananda spoke of the last incarnation, He did not emphasize curiosity about signs, but the living practice of yoga, union with God through meditation, devotion, and right living. He urged his disciples to meditate deeply, to love unconditionally, to discipline the senses, and to surrender everything to God. Through such practice, liberation comes, whether in this life or the next. So, beloved seeker, ask yourself, is not the longing for freedom stirring in your heart right now? Is not the call of eternity whispering through your soul? Then listen to it, follow it, and give yourself completely to God. For in that giving, in that surrender, in that love, the chains of reincarnation fall away. The soul awakens to its true nature, ever free, ever joyous, ever one with the infinite. And whether this is your last life or not, live as though it is. Live with such sincerity that you need not return again, unless love calls you back to help others. Live as a liberated soul now, for the eternal self within you has never been bound. The end of reincarnation is not the end of life. It is the beginning of true life. It is the dawn of endless bliss, the homecoming of the prodigal soul. And even now, that home is not far away. It is within you, waiting in the silence of your own being.